So in a previous video that will be linked above, we went over 5 workflow tips inside of the MPC. And one of the most popular tips inside of there was a concept of sample cycling. Now, a lot of you have asked for a dedicated video on sample cycling, on how to set it up and how to use it. So this is that video. Now, if you're not familiar with what sample cycling is, it allows you the ability to have 4 different samples on a single pad inside of the MPC. And while you hit the pad, it's going to cycle through each one of those sounds. Now, it is very useful for rhythmic elements such as hi-hats, shakers, and percussion, but you could also use it on something like a 4-chord chord progression to save some real estate. So you have 4 different chords on a single pad and it plays a different chord every time you hit the pad. So let's go over to the MPC, again, see how we set it up and then see how we can use it with some hi-hats or some shakers. Now, before we go and set up sample cycling, let's first take a look and understand what is actually happening on the MPC. So on the main screen, we have to make sure we're in a drum track and we want to find our program edit button. Now, when we go into a program, we're going to see a menu here on the lower part of the screen. After global, we have samples. So if we click on samples, we'll notice something unique. Here on every single pad, we have 4 different layers, meaning that the MPC can have 4 different samples assigned to each individual pad. Now, you can use this for sound design, but what we're going to do is actually sample through 4 different samples every time we hit the pad. So in order to activate sample cycling on a specific pad, you have to be in global, select the pad, and then under layer play, we want to click that onto cycle. What that means now is every time I hit the pad, it's going to trigger the next layer in the sequence of these 4. So where this is really helpful is rhythmic elements, especially hi-hats, shakers, tambourines, and percs. The first thing we are going to have to do is load up some hi-hats into our sample bank. So let's just come over to hats here and pick 4. So now that we've loaded those 4 hi-hat samples, let's go into our program edit. And on the first layer, let's go ahead and put that short click. Now on the second layer, let's go ahead and put hi-hat 2. On the third layer, we're gonna put hi-hat 3. And then on the 4th layer, let's put this open hat. Now, every time we play the pad, it's gonna play the next layer in the line. So instead of just repeating the exact same sample every single time we hit the pad, we're getting a little bit of variation each time. And this becomes really cool when we activate note repeat. And now we have a little bit more of a humanistic feel. And this is really apparent when we start changing the tempo of our project drastically. So if we were to use a loop and do drastic tempo changes, we would have some artifacts from the time stretch algorithm inside of the MPC. However, if we come into main and just start adjusting our tempo, all it's doing is adjusting the speed of the retrigger, not necessarily stretching a loop. So just to recap how we would set up sample cycling, again, select the pad that you want to do the cycling on, go to global, change the layer play into cycle, and then go through and load each one of these individual layers from the sounds that you have already loaded inside of your sample pool. And as you play the pad, it's going to cycle through each one of these layers. Hold down note repeat. And there you have a much more unique top loop while you're holding down that one pad. So I hope that video helped clear up any questions about sample cycling, on how to set it up and how to use it. If you have any other questions or any suggestions for future videos on the MPC or any other music production topics, please leave a comment down below. We have a bunch more content coming out, so if you like this sort of stuff, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know that you're out there watching. On that note, my name is Stu. This is Create, Educate, and Inspire. Thank you once again for all the support, and we'll see you on the next video.